Header Footer Gallery is part of the New Media Caucus and is dedicated to promoting the creative output of our members by situating their work in thoughtfully curated exhibitions that take place across our entire web presence. New Media Caucus is an international nonprofit association formed to promote the development and understanding of new media art. We represent and serve artists, designers, practitioners, historians, theorists, educators, students, and scholars. Recognizing new media art to be inherently interdisciplinary, multimodal, and evolving, we support and advance a wide range of inquiry to catalyze further evolution of the field. The New Media Caucus is committed to extending and sustaining the diversity of our community, board, and membership, to promote an environment of equality, inclusion, and respect for difference. We prioritize inclusion as an ongoing collaborative process of growth that we continually address both within the caucus and in our field.
Future Renee here. It turns out that when you share a vertical screen, the whole video turns vertical. So apologies for that, and hopefully it will never happen again. Welcome everyone to the 25th episode of Header Footer Presents. I'm your host Renee.
And I'm your co-host Constanza.
In this episode, we will talk about what skill means in the 21st century and how the very concept of skill is now being challenged by the emergence of AI. So, this is a very tricky subject. I know we always end up talking about AI and the dangers of NFTs and all these things, but it's a very real thing that happens to us in art history. If you look at creators and artists and all these people, everybody's wondering what's gonna happen, right? And so this time, Constanza was talking to me about this piece that sold for 1 million. So I don't know if you want to tell us about that first.
Yeah, of course. So it's funny because yesterday, just for context, I lectured on 2 classes on AI, one on AI art and the other one more generally on media and ethics, things like that. And this came up. This is an article from November 7th though, so this was a little bit earlier on. But the whole point of this is that this is a robot, an AI robot, that considers herself the first AI artist. And her name is Ada, I believe after Ada Lovelace. And her work, which is a portrait of Alan Turing, who is the father of AI, and you see his portrait right there, sold at Sotheby's, I think it was, for, just trying to make sure that's what it was, at...
Keep telling us and I'll check in a sec.
Yeah, sure. I think it was, Sotheby's. It
yes.
Sold for a lot of money. And there's actually a really funny clip of the robot speaking, in a very interesting way, because she starts talking about what her inspiration for the work was. And she speaks in art history language, which I found the most perplexing, I'm trying to uncover her inspiration, but also her train of thought and process for creating the portrait of Alan Turing. So that's the context of that. I'm not sure, did you hear about it before I told you, or?
No, not really. I kind of don't get these types of news anymore, I think because they're so linked to NFTs, and I kind of made my algorithm understand that I don't like NFTs. So maybe it just went very broad. Oh, AI is the thing that came after NFT, so maybe we are not going to give you this because you don't seem to like it.
Yeah. I think I still get these articles just because I think I saw one in Hyperallergic, which is a very arts-based platform that you can you can read news articles about these sorts of things. But I think it's just because I'm thinking about these questions and what that means, and in terms of skill, and that comes to our point for this podcast today, right? What does skill mean? And it's such a complicated topic because, first of all, for context, this is not the first time that people have been questioning what does skill mean in the advancement of technology. This happened in the Industrial Revolution, for example, a while back, very while back. But these questions keep coming up as
Yeah.
technology advances.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, if we're gonna put up like a point on skill, one of the most critical ones I think that has come up even before your friend, what's his name, arts and crafts dude, William
Oh,
Morris.
yeah, William.
Even
Yes,
before
William.
William Morris, the first big like, oh, what are we gonna do comes from photography. In
Mhm.
the 1840s, more or less, like photography had been like appearing before that, but like in the 1840s is when it starts to become something that can be done by more and more people. Before that, it was
Mhm.
like scientists or people like studying, and then in 1843 or two, I believe, Daguerre comes with the daguerreotype, and then Talbot with the talotype. And those two become like the first like easy to handle processes to the point that you could make it portable to a degree.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's when you see these people with their preparing their plates and then they go take the photo, then they put the cover on themselves and they're actually developing the plate
Hmm.
there. Fun fact, there's people who still do that in Madrid.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like if you go to where the palace is or the garden, the botanical garden, you can see some guys with like very old cameras that will take your picture. And obviously, they're not developing a daguerreotype because daguerreotypes are super delicate and like it would be really expensive. But they do the um, the paper, so that's a little bit a more recent process, but still like the old school thing. So
Yeah.
still, you get a taste of what it was like. So anyhow, the photography is the first time you can actually just take a picture of something and boom, there it is, right? Like it looks exactly how it looks in your eyes, or almost, because it's black
Oh,
and white,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
But just the fact that you can recreate this level of detail to the point that there's daguerreotypes where you can actually see like the resolution of a daguerreotype is insane, and even some of the uh, like pretty much anything that has a chemical process, like the resolution is insane. Like cameras cannot, like digital cameras cannot reproduce it even now,
Mhm.
or if they can, it's really expensive. In So it gave this level of detail that artists were like, what do we do now, right? So, for example, you have this thing. Uh, this is happening in the 1830s. This painting was done by David in the 1830s. And just 10 days, 10 days, 10 years later in the 1840s, I mean, it
Yeah.
feels like 10 days, you have this.
Hmm.
And it's because two things. Like, yeah, there was these studies of optics that were coming out. That's the main narrative that we get in art history is that Impressionism started because of studies into optics. Yeah, what do you think started the studies into optics?
Hmm.
Photography was one of those things. But more importantly, the fact is there was no point in trying to recreate reality anymore, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Uh, they were like, why should I bother trying to make the most exact rendering of a house if I can just take a picture?
Right.
And this created not necessarily an abandonment of it, but it opened up new artistic spaces, right? It was the idea of, okay, well, let's do what light does. Instead of concerning ourselves with the physical representation of the objects, let's concern ourselves with the light. Let's see how light works, how light bounces off of things, how light does things, right?
Hmm.
And that resulted in Impressionism, which ironically also started a discussion. Well, not ironically, it started a discussion on skill. The whole name impression, it's an insult. You knew that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so Impressionism, well, an impression, I'm gonna murder this. Impression
Yeah. Hmm.
in French is the name for a sketch.
Hmm.
What people did when they were calling it Impressionism or Impression was that it was a sketch that was incomplete. It was not finished. And that's what people thought. Like, oh no, this is ugly because it's not finished. There's no skill in this. The artist didn't even bother finishing it and making it look realistic. So we already have those discussions. And Impressionism is just the opening for this. Then we have things like Cubism, where it completely destroys this idea of perspective again. And then it destroys this idea of composition in the way that we thought of it. And then you have things even crazier than that. You move into Futurism, with this just capturing movement,
Yeah.
all these
It becomes
things.
the whole basis of modern art as we know it, right?
Exactly.
It's really interesting. Um, there's a really good piece that I just remembered when you were talking about this, and how there are a lot of artists that actually took inspiration from what photography lended. And one of them was actually Marcel Duchamp's Woman Descending the Staircase, which, if you
Mm.
look at it in comparison to Edward Muybridge's studies of human locomotion, you'll notice the second one. Yeah,
This one? No.
yes,
Yes?
yes. New
Okay.
Descending a Staircase. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, this one.
number two. But if you look at it in comparison to Edward Muybridge's study of human locomotion and how movement is captured via photography, and what would be the precursor to cinema and all of these really interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fascinating to see how artists bounce back, maybe unintentionally, or with this new technology, right? That was photography and the camera.
Yeah.
So they started almost replicating, which is really interesting now that you think about it, because there's people trying to do that today with digital cameras and things like that too.
And that takes me to the other thing. One of the funny things about photography is that for a long, long time, it was not considered art. Even now, there's people who don't consider it art, right?
Mhm.
Because it's just what you see.
Yeah.
Huge quotes there. But anyways, the first person that started being considered an artist is Alfred Stieglitz, with specifically the Terminal, which is 1893.
Hmm.
And one of the things that Stieglitz did is it started to applying concepts of painting into photography.
Hmm.
So in this case, the photo is not super clear. There's this fogginess that's part of it's the horses just being alive in a very cold climate, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
right, and they're exuding heat because they're like pulling the trolley thing, and there's like their bodies are warm and the environment's cold. But it gives it this feeling of coldness, of heat and atmosphere, and all these other things that were not traditionally, at least at the time, represented in photography, right? Then you have things like Man Ray, then or
Mm.
Caslon, or the sexy peppers. You know the ones I'm talking about?
No,
No? What's his name? I always forget the name of this photographer.
sexy peppers. Okay.
This is going to be a horrible search. There we go. These.
Oh,
These
interesting.
are like photographs by um, an artist, but I can't remember the actual person. Let me. We're gonna depend on the algorithm. Photographs of peppers. Edward Weston. There we go.
Okay, okay.
So Edward Weston with this is a pepper. This is a bell pepper, but
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
trying to recreate like a female nude. Which again,
yeah.
well, there's a lot of things that we can talk about that. But the point is, that's what they were called, like the sexy peppers, because like there's like the curves, the sexiness of the plant, and all that. But it no longer is just a recreation of reality. In fact, it's a very abstract photograph if you think
Hmm.
about it.
Yeah,
Well,
for sure.
at some point, people are questioning this and being like, "Well, what's the skill in that, right?"
Absolutely.
Especially when you put it against this Ansel Adams photographs,
Oh, yeah, Ansel Adams.
which people tend to think of as like hyper realistic, like very realistic, not hyper realistic. They are, in fact, hyper realistic
Hmm.
because you cannot have this sky and this exposure down here.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. So what Ansel Adams was doing is this thing that we do in Photoshop now, but it was like it was called dodging and burning. What he
Mm-hmm.
would do is he would put more and more light into the negative here, so the clouds became more visible, and then he would put less light into these things so that you could see the details, right?
Yeah, you get like a high contrast effect that is so easy, and it's something that we take for granted. Well, I don't know if we take it for granted, but it's something that we just automatically do on
We don't
Photoshop.
see it.
Yeah, yeah, it's and that goes back to skill that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get these technologies and software programs like Photoshop, but even like we can even go into, oh my gosh, this is a rabbit hole. But even filters, how Instagram filters, among other things, um, they automate the techniques that photographers would use back in the day, you know, and now we just use it without thinking about this, right? It's convenience that what we
Yeah.
have.
There's also there's these contact sheets. I can't find them, but there was they were just found, and it's this very famous fashion photographer from like the 1960s, and
Mhm,
you can see that for a portrait, like what's her name? Audrey Hepburn. Let me find the picture. I think you know which one.
mhm.
This one. This one.
Yeah,
So
okay.
the guy that took this photograph, I can't remember his name right now. I'm terrible with names. Let me
Yeah.
see if it's here. So I can remember her, but I can't remember who took it. Anyhow, the point is, you can see the contact sheets that this guy has, and you can see how he's like, we have to burn here, we have to do this, and this is like everything that he's gonna do in the studio after the photograph has been taken.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people assume that taking a photo and that's it. You take the photo,
Yeah.
bam, it's ready, which is not true. Even now with AI, AI doesn't have the sensibility for deciding, like, oh, this has to be dark. Like, if you've ever used, what's it called? Um, Photoshop and set auto contrast or
Yeah.
auto levels, it does it in the most average way possible,
Hmm.
which is fine for most people. But when you want drama, when you want detail, when you want like all these things,
When you want more intentionality
yeah,
behind
exactly, that's
it.
not enough, right? Because the average would be to get all the grays like evenly spread out, but that gives
Yeah.
you a very flat photograph sometimes.
Hmm.
The trick is in getting really black blacks where you want them and very white whites where you want them, and then the grayscale in between. But that is a matter of taste and touch and thought.
Artistry.
Because for example, we have in the shoulders of Audrey here, we have this light. That light, if you think about it, should also be falling on the back of her neck, right?
Hmm.
But it's not. That's because the artist underexposed that area, so we didn't get those lights because it gave it a better silhouette.
Yeah.
You can also see like a little artifact here in the middle of her neck in the black. You see how
Hmm.
there's like three like little bumps, and one of them is out of focus. That's part of the photographic photoshopping that created an artifact there, where like everything else is more defined. Anyhow, so this is skill, but it's not as visible, and that's why people tend to dismiss it. And the same thing happens with everything, like people criticizing TV nowadays. Oh, now we can just use AI to write our episodes. Like, no, what you're gonna get is the most. If you even get something that makes sense,
Hmm.
it's gonna be the most average milquetoast thing because that's what AI does.
Yeah.
The average, and the problem is it's feeding from people. I've actually gone. I don't know if this happened to you, but I've been getting like job offers for writing for AI companies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like help us train the models of the future, and it's like just train them to replace you, basically.
Right. So I heard something from a student the yesterday morning, and she said that now when you create things on Photoshop or Adobe Suite, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the content, you sign away these rights where the content that you are doing is now helping to train the AI, which is mind-boggling to me because that opens up, and like I was talking about it in class. It opens up questions of authorship. It opens up questions of copyright laws and like who owns these images. And if you when you think about it, if AI is training on all these images, then what is originality? What is, authenticity? What is it actually spitting out? You know,
Yeah.
that is new. And that goes into a deeper rabbit hole as well. But yeah, anyway, go ahead.
Well, look at this. Samsung. Yeah, this is why I don't like Samsung phones for like a long time, but now it's even more. Uh, they implemented AI assisted photography into their cameras. So you take a photo of the moon, and even if it's the most ratty, like janky looking shot of the moon, and they'll turn it to what's on the right side, and it's like, bro, no, that's not. That's illustration. At that point, it's illustration, right? Which is fine if you recognize it as that, um, as an illustration, but it's not what people are saying, right? People
But this is,
assume that it is
yes, and it's
real.
skewing our perception of reality. And so much so, this is even a deeper conversation to be had, which we're probably not going to get to today. But I was looking up recipes for, this is a tangent, but makes a lot of sense. I was looking up recipes for a Christmas party that I'm going to have, so turkey, whatever. Um, and I landed on a blog, like a recipe blog from someone,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw this beautiful image of a pie or whatever it was now. And I said, wow, I'm hoping that I can make something that good. And then you realize at the bottom of the image, it said this was AI generated. And
Mm.
I immediately closed that tab and I was so upset. And I told this to my students and I've shared this with other people too. And I'm just thinking, wow, how is this skewing our perception of reality and images and visual culture,
Oh yeah,
right?
people can't tell anymore. Like, and the funny thing is, it goes both ways
Yeah.
because now there's people accusing real images of being AI.
Yes, absolutely. But you know what this is? This is Jean Baudrillard's concept of the hyperreal.
Oh yeah, the hyper real, totally.
Yeah,
Which we
this
used to
is, we are
dismiss.
here. We are here now.
It,
It's
it's the
it's
map of the map of the map on top of the map. It's insane of the world.
of the world, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's just
it's. I
it's
mean,
we're in a crisis, I think.
have you seen this thing of AI fashion?
No, what about it?
Oh my god. Uh, where is it? Well, first of all, there's this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just generate like your. Which
Mhm.
okay, like this is the one that I'm conflicted on
Okay.
because fashion photography is one of the most predatory things in the history of mankind. Like
Mhm.
even before AI, like the fact that you have one standard size and that's the one size,
Yeah,
and everybody
absolutely.
has to conform to it. And okay, it doesn't generate fashion that fits women of different shapes or heights. It
Yeah.
doesn't fit men as well. It's a less discussed thing, but like not all of us are shaped like a triangle. We're not all
Yeah.
crunk.
Yeah.
Um, even though some of us would wish to. Uh, it just simply replacing that aspect of the fashion industry. I'm not completely against.
Yeah, no,
I
that's a good
yeah,
point. But it also is going to affect jobs.
I
Like,
know.
there's that other, there's
Yeah,
the, oh, this, but also this.
yes, exactly.
And two things can be true at the same time,
Of
I think.
course. I remember. So I took. Part of my bachelor was photography, which
Yeah.
might be very obvious. But one of the things I remember is going to PDN, Photographer Network, something. It's the big photographers. What's happening to my English? Photographers convention in New York. It's in the Javits
Mm-hmm.
Center every year, and all the big names are there, and there's like conferences and all these things. It's kind of like CAA for photographers.
Yeah.
And this was in 2011 or something. And I took a class on Photoshop for fashion. And the first thing that this woman had worked for Vogue, she had worked for a lot of like the big fashion magazines. And she
Mm-hmm.
said the first thing that she said is that you have to realize uh, that what we are doing is not photography, it's illustration,
Mm.
right? So it's not really reality. That's what she would say, as she teaches you how to Photoshop a woman to have perfect skin,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
in a way, you have to hear of it and think of it as okay, is it really that if we don't let people know that it's supposed to be a fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's is it okay to say this? And with AI, we're getting this again. Like, can we tell people? And this is what they're doing. Like, for example, you can see that it's clothing that's AI overlaid over you, right?
Wow.
And the thing is, they sell it. It's basically NFTs.
Mm-hmm.
So you buy AI filters from this company to put on your uh, person on your TikToks, with the idea that it's cheaper and more sustainable than buying fast fashion. So
Mm-hmm.
what they're trying to get you to do is to buy like a motion capture suit, do your TikTok like that, and then load this filter that you paid for and change your fashion things. And then you upload that as your fit for the week,
Yeah.
which is wow.
It's a lot. It's this reminds me also like you talked about the predatory nature of the fashion photography and things like that. And perhaps a glimpse of, oh, but this is going to make like AI will enable us to generate different body shapes, etc., right?
Mm-hmm.
However, there is still the downside, which it comes back down to like discrimination or bias implemented because of the data set. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, I believe it was BuzzFeed, and you can look it up um,
I'll look it up
if
in a
it's
second.
correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So BuzzFeed, I think it was, they ran an AI generator to like illustrate what Barbies would look like from different countries and nations and cultures. Yeah, that thing. Um, the Barbie dolls. And so what would happen is that they noticed
No, not
that
this one.
no, they noticed that it's a video on YouTube actually, but they noticed that there was so much bias
This is why
incorporated.
you should avoid mixing Barbie with biased AI image generators.
I don't know. Can you hear
What does
it?
a
Should I
typical
mute it?
prisoner look like?
Yes, you
What
should
about
mute it.
Okay, there you go. Oh, I
a
can't.
Yeah,
lawyer,
so
a nurse?
This is
yeah.
a
This is a commentary on what the repercussions were of this AI generated Barbie.
mhm.
So what ended up happening, I'll paraphrase this. Um, is that the generated images of Barbie from different nations were actually pretty biased. So, for example, Barbies from Latin American countries were actually white skinned. And this perpetuates a lot of colorism that is also very much integrated into our cultures. The thing is that that is not what people generally look like. The Barbie from Sudan, I think, is what it was. She was generated via like her image was of an African woman, right? But she was also generated with a rifle beside her, a rifle. And then
Oh
there
my
are, for
god.
example, yeah, the German Barbie had a coat or a uniform that is very closely tied to. That's the one I was thinking about.
Okay.
South Sudan.
Oh my god, I just saw the rifle. Oh my god.
Yes, yes. So it was terrible, but the whole we're gonna post this video up. I think it'll be very helpful for people to understand.
That's
Um,
Beyonce.
yeah, no, it's not.
No,
It
I
looks
know.
like,
I'm just saying she looks like Beyonce.
but the whole point is that there is so much bias integrated into that goes into the data sets
Yeah.
that spew out, or the output of it is going to be reminiscent of what you put into it. And that's a huge problem because the video article, that it goes on and on about how the AI generated images also perpetuate not only like racism, because they asked the AI generator, for example, with the prompt, can you give me images of CEOs? And of course, what you end up getting is predominantly male, white CEOs. But if you ask the AI generator to generate an image based on the prompt of, for instance, healthcare workers or janitors or tasks like that, you end up getting people of color predominantly, right? And
Yes.
so this keeps getting perpetuated, and this becomes a reality that people consume, and that's really dangerous.
AI sees all these things and just makes an average,
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
so weird.
It's very weird.
It's
It's very
very,
damaging.
very weird. What is the normalization here happening? I think that's the question. Is the AI replicating this fake reality that we already live in,
Hmm.
creating something new, or just keeping the status quo?
I think that's exactly the question that I more or less posed. And I think that AI is going to replicate the reality that we do have, but it's going to average it out too. And that's the tricky part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. And the question is, what do we do?
Well, the genie is out of the bottle. The problem now is how we trick him back into it.
Yeah,
Because this
yeah,
is a monkey paw situation. Because AI certainly has its uses.
sure.
I'm not gonna pretend it doesn't. But the problem is this unbridled, uncritical approach to it, right? Because unlike NFTs and the blockchain, which is a problem looking for a solution, AI could arguably be used to simplify things. It could help us deal with senseless bureaucracy.
Hmm.
But instead of doing that, what we're doing is trying to replace creativity and skill
Absolutely.
with it.
It's so interesting because when you see the history of AI, you go from thinking about intelligence in computers and machinery, right? That's Turing's paper.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that we need to also take into account is this idea of imitation, right? And replication that goes on. And I think that is where things get really messy because whereas before there was, funding, then there was the AI winter where there wasn't any funding, and then the development of it stopped. There is a whole boom of
Mm-hmm.
AI as an industry right now. And where do you see it the most? Through creativity and
Mm-hmm.
software and writing and art, right? This is where you see it the most now,
Yeah.
which, it begs the question like, what are the incentives? Where are we putting our efforts in? How is skill now being supplanted, right?
So here's the thing about that, because it's really interesting. I don't know how much contact you had with engineers in your life.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've had many.
Okay.
I went to my bachelor's. It was a university that was basically engineers and computer
Okay.
science.
And I
Yeah.
did 2 years of engineering school. And one of the things that jump at you is that engineers are constantly making jokes about art degrees.
Mm-hmm.
They don't consider it a valid thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it's not used to make something or make something in their context of like a machine that does something, or in the context of generating money through this invention, it's not worth it. Why
Okay.
should we study like history? Why should we put money into the arts? Why should we put money into studying the sex lives of insects, for example?
Yeah.
That's a real question posed by Elon Musk now with the Doge thing.
Right.
And the answer to that is because insects can be. Well, he said, we're going to defund all those people studying the sex lives of insects. That's
Huh.
what he said, like the sex lives of insects. The point is, that's actually studies into the reproductive habits and practices of insects. Insects can be plagues. So if we study how they reproduce, we can figure out how to stop plagues from happening.
Yeah. That seems very
Right?
obvious.
But we can also figure out how bees reproduce so we can have more pollinators.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it's not useless. It's just the framing that they look at it from.
Yeah, and we can't overgeneralize all engineers,
No, we
but
can't.
there is a tendency for sure, and I
There,
experienced that for sure.
there's
Yeah.
been studies on the way engineers talk themselves into eugenics constantly.
Hmm.
Because the thought pattern is like, well, there's this disease. And this disease is transmitted genetically, right? Yeah. So why don't we just create a system that tracks which people have this genome and we can like warn them? Okay, but they might still reproduce. So what do we do? Well, what about we create a system for tracking who has it and like you can go and check if this person is lying to you about whether they have this gene or not.
Hmm.
Okay, but then why don't we just simply stop them from reproducing?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like there's so many examples of this happening with tech, and it's because of the utilitarian approach that a lot of engineering and STEM courses take, the lack of valuing other forms of thinking. And so what happens is all these engineers are like, well, I like TV shows, but I don't think writers are valuable. So why don't I replace them with AIs and they just tell it what I want it to do, and then it can create my TV show without the need of paying an artist that's worthless. That's the reasoning behind the AI uh, hedge into creativity. And you see it in everything because companies are doing it already. Like, why should I pay a designer to make a T-shirt, an original design, if I can just tell an AI generate this for me?
Yeah.
And we already touched on this once. They don't care about scale because scale is not something that they can mechanize or capitalize in a way that concentrates earnings into a few people.
Hmm.
So at least that's my perspective. It's what I've been reading, like constantly seeing people. But I don't know if you think that's accurate. Do you think there's another reason?
Uh, this is all very depressing.
I know,
Like, but you know what?
but we
It's
have to
still
talk about it.
exactly. You have to talk about these and have these conversations because the people that are going to be most affected you know, by it will be the creatives.
Of
Like I know
course.
I had someone that was telling me that they lost their job and they replaced them with because they were a designer and they replaced them with guess what? Right?
AI.
Yeah. And it was because it's of convenience. It's because they don't value skill, the creative work, but also yeah, it comes from it stems from a mentality for sure. Um, but from this mentality that you speak of, I think that which is very true. But I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future, to be honest, and I'm worried. I really
Yeah.
am,
The thing is,
and
this
I
is not a
know
new thing.
no, it's
With
not. It's
AI
just
specifically.
I know, but it's become exacerbated for sure,
In
right?
a way, yeah, I agree. So here's the thing I'm thinking. Let me just remove this guy from here. Um, so as a designer, one of the most common things that I would hear when I was pitching a project or presenting my bill is I can have my 8-year-old nephew do it with Photoshop.
Okay.
Because Photoshop was seen back then as this tool that did everything. Basically, what AI does now, people imagined it could do in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So the idea was that, oh, it's not really painting when you're doing it in Photoshop because Photoshop does everything.
Yeah.
So, and before that is like, well, my brother can do this for half the price. It's always been this race to the bottom, and it doesn't have to be AI. There was always something to devaluate the work of a creative. There has not been a time, except maybe post Black Plague Europe, where craftsmen were actually valued.
Yeah. We
Well,
should go back to
craftspeople, not
time.
craftsmen. Sure, that makes sense.
Of course.
Um,
That's the solution.
and that's when like the guilds became like a big thing.
Yeah.
Like craftsmen's guilds or craftspeople guilds started.
Artisan. Yeah.
Artisan guilds, exactly, were a thing. I mean, one of the biggest like targets for conspiracy theories, the what's the builder ones? The Masons.
The
The
Masons, yeah.
Masons were created not as, and they are not, but like this society that like held secrets. Yeah, they held secrets. The secrets for vaulted ceilings. No, that's true.
No, I know. It's just
Oh,
funny because of the conspiracy theories behind it. And the secrets that they were hiding were how to construct things.
yeah, because that's how they kept their prices up. Because you couldn't just go and, as a lord, you couldn't just go and grab John, Mike, and Chad and tell them, build me a cathedral. You had to go to the Masons Guild, and the Masons Guild was like, yeah, but it's going to cost you this much.
Mhm.
So what
But
they
it's
did,
also a way of protecting their own craft and knowledge at the
yeah, of
same
course,
time.
yeah, it was to stop that from happening.
Yeah, yeah. So
And
fascinating.
yeah, I mean, sure, maybe there were some abuses, but it was less than what's happening now. Uh, I mean, tradesmen's guilds existed for a reason. Yeah, some people were shunned and some people were like not permitted to, and that is a problem, but you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just lower the
Hmm.
temperature.
Yeah.
Maybe take out the child for a while. Let it cool down and put the child back in. Change the water. I don't know. But the point is, in the terms of guilds and the abuses that they were accused of like discriminating against women, yeah, that was true. But the idea wasn't to get rid of guilds,
Yeah.
right? The idea was to allow women and minorities into the guilds so they
Hmm.
could continue these practices and maybe even bring new ideas, new thoughts. Because even this thing of skill is like in academia is ignored a lot. Like you can see this a lot in archaeology and anthropology, where people are like, oh, we found these mysterious things that are like offerings to the gods. And it's like a woman that does guild, gold embroidery is like, no, that's for gold embroidery. There's a story about bone, like pallet shaped things that people kept like finding in burial sites, and everybody's like, oh, these are ritual instruments that are like offered to the gods as a payment or something. Turns out, if you show that tool to a leather worker today,
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, this is how we smooth the leather. But archaeologists didn't know that because pretty much everyone that's into archaeology tends to be like not a tradesman or
Right.
tradeswoman.
Oh,
So,
yes. I had this conversation before. I remember now.
and they assume that it's like this ritual thing, and in fact, it's just a tool for someone's craft.
Yeah.
Same thing, like they found this little girl with a bunch of knuckle bones in her burial site,
Hmm.
and people were like, oh, she must have been a witch or something, or there's like some ritual here. No, she was literally a pro gamer. Knuckle bones in Afghanistan are used as dice.
Hmm.
Obviously, animal knuckle bones, not human.
Yeah.
So what happened? What the more appropriate or probable explanation of the knuckle bones is that the girl was buried with her collection of dice.
Oh, that's really cool.
But people for a long time thought she was like some witch or something.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. The point is to listen to to the craftspeople, to the artisans. The craft is important and valuable because it also gives us an indication of how, not just how the world works, but how things are made, and we can build upon that information and knowledge to have to build history, right? That's what's important.
So, for example, and this is I really like this one because it involves a woman.
Uh-huh.
Archaeologists for a long time thought that all the Roman women were bald
Okay.
and that they wore wigs
Okay.
because they couldn't imagine how these hairstyles could happen,
Okay.
right? Then a woman called Janet Stevens uh, saw some of them and she was like, oh, these are pretty cool. I'm a hairstylist. I'm going to recreate them. And she did. And this was in 2005, okay? So
Hmm.
and then I know, and so so here in 2005, while studying translations of Roman literature, she realized the Latin term "accus," which has several meanings, including a single-pronged hairpin or needle and thread, was being mistranslated consistently as single-pronged hairpin in the context
Hmm.
of Roman hairdressing. While single-pronged hairpins could not have held up elaborate hairstyles in ancient Rome, a needle and thread could have. In 2008, Stevens published this theory as Ancient Roman Hairdressing on Hairpins and Needles in the Journal of Roman Archaeology. And she, just because she was a tradesperson with the skill
Yeah.
and a passion, because she wasn't a professional archaeologist. And she
Yeah.
solved this mystery because no one thought to ask someone that does hair. Like, how would you
Yeah.
do this?
Hmm.
And now she's like the what you call it? The authority on Roman hairstyles,
That's really cool.
which is really cool if you think about it.
Yeah, and I think this brings back to the point also that we often, well, at least I had a professor who always told us, if you're going to study art history, you better know the craft of making things so you can better understand and how to write and how to talk about it as well. And
Exactly.
he's absolutely right. His name is uh, Professor Andrew Moisey. um, and he's a photographer. He is a writer. Um, he's a professor of visual culture, and he was absolutely right. Right?
Yeah.
We can't just live in a bubble where everything is, it's too abstract or everything is just theoretical, right? We need to also own skills, practical skills, in order to understand our craft, which is more like conceived of as intellectual a little bit more.
And what I really like is like the framing that they give it. Hairdo archaeologist solves old mystery. It wasn't
Yeah.
an old mystery to anyone that was a hairstylist. It was just a mystery to men in archaeology
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a few women, obviously. But uh, it was basically someone not considering craftspeople important.
Hmm. Yeah. So
And
then
yeah,
what I'm curious to know then, what is should there be another arts and crafts movement now? Because the reason I ask is there's so many students that have, at least some of mine, have shied away from AI and digital art, and they're going back to craft, which I found a very interesting, like, step back, push back. And yeah, I'm curious to know, like, what is going to happen if there is going to be a major pushback.
should
Um,
there be? I don't think there should be. There
I
is.
don't know.
No, there is
Oh,
already.
there is. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
trying to be controversial for a second. No, there
Oh.
is. There is a movement to going back to crafts. There's people right now who have shunned like traditional spaces of creation, right?
Hmm.
That's part of my study, like finding performance in non-traditional spaces, like VR chat, which is not what you think of. Like, obviously, it involves furries because everything in the world is always reduced to furries. But yes, computer programming is completely dominated by furries. Performance spaces online are completely dominated by furries. I don't know
Right.
why. But anyhow, that's not the point. The point is,
Yeah.
uh, no, but because this reflects this thing, like, oh, it's furries, they're not worthy of consideration, and it's like, no, furries are theater kids generally. They're doing theater online,
Okay.
right? Um, anyhow, the point is, we have these creative spaces. Like, what do you think? Come on, please don't, please be safe for work. The cosplay community, these people, like, one of the worst things you can do is buy something.
Yeah. So they craft their costumes to very minute detail
Yes,
in order to, emulate a specific character, right? That's what cosplay is as
like,
well. And
like, take the
embodying the
wig.
soul.
Yeah, take this wig for example. She probably
Mhm.
bought the wig, but how she styled it, that's also part of the DIY,
Yeah.
right? But there's also things like metalworking. There's a lot of communities now for
Yes.
metalworking,
I used
woodcrafting,
to, that's
joinery.
so true. I used to
Uh,
watch this really great show on YouTube, I think it was. And this was just metal working.
mhm.
And what would often happen is that someone would come who wants to do a cosplay and wants to replicate a sword, right? More often than not, a sword or a katana or something like that. And these gentlemen on the show would literally slave away making and crafting these things to replicate something. And it
Yeah,
was amazing. It was fantastic. So yeah, there's so much work involved in cosplay, and embodying a character, right?
shout out to Brian Dimmock. He
Mm-hmm.
was this Norwich is not in the UK. This is Norwich, New England. You
Okay,
actually met him. You
I
actually
did.
know him.
Okay.
He was the guy that helped me build the exhibition in Connecticut College.
Oh, cool. Okay.
He's an
Well, shout
artist.
out to you.
He's a blacksmith. He's a maker. Uh, and he was in Forged in Fire, and he was in the first season. This is one of the people you were talking about that makes the swords and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a big community of makers that are doing this. There's people that do um, a lot of carpentry nowadays that you see like online. Even like the fact, like, okay, it degenerated into a horrible thing, but house flipping involved a lot
Oh,
of craft in the beginning. Nowadays it's a
yeah.
mess. But house restorations used to be a very like DIY kind of thing, and it still is. It's just not done for yourself. It's done to predate and things, to be predatory. But that's a different thing. In general, DIY spaces have never been as strong as they have now. The thing is, we again, it exists outside of traditional art making spaces, so we miss some of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are happening in narrative in online and video game spaces. For example, Porpentine, who has now been included into more traditional art making.
Hmm.
She's now like recognized, but she started with Twine.
Yeah.
Twine Games studying her own personal representation, things like that. I don't know if you heard of Thor, of
Sword?
Pirates or Thor from
Yeah.
Pirate Software. This guy,
Okay. Hmm.
heard of him?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so uh, quick, um, Thor Pirate Software dad. His dad worked at Blizzard. This guy,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
You may know this guy from South Park. This is him.
Oh, yeah,
This
yeah,
guy is literally him.
yeah.
And
Okay.
he worked at Blizzard for a long time. He taught himself everything he knew. He was a janitor, actually, and became like a creative lead for Blizzard Entertainment in the good years. His son also worked at Blizzard until
Hmm.
it got too crazy and wild and weird, and he quit. And Thor now, what he does is he's done with the AAA
Yeah.
industry
Hmm.
and now runs this Twitch thing. where he teaches people how to design their own video games. And
Mhm.
he gives them financial literacy lessons and like skill building and things like, you know what, you don't need to learn to program to start a game. You just go and do this and this and this and this, and eventually you have a game.
Yeah.
And one of the examples he uses is what's it called? Not Deltarune, the other one, Undertale. Undertale code is horrible. If you know anything about coding, uh, it's not loading. But basically, what this guy that created Undertale did is, in one file, he created all the dialogue as a chain of cases.
Oh, okay, yeah. Uh-huh.
So there's other ways to do this. He took the most complicated, long-winded way. It's a
Uh-huh.
1,000 plus long case switch.
Mm-hmm.
So case 1, 7. Case 2, 7 human souls. Case 3, with the power of 7 human souls, long arcing. So it's the worst way that you could have coded this. Undertale is one of the most critically acclaimed video games ever. It doesn't matter that it runs in like horribly. He did not have the skills. He
Yeah.
developed the skills later.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this is also a thing that we have to talk about skills, is that not having the skills shouldn't be a problem. It's not wanting to develop the skills that's the problem.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a deterrent, right?
It shouldn't be a deterrent, okay? And the thing with Undertale is like it's coded with like the worst ways you could do something.
Yeah,
But it
it's not
runs.
efficient,
It's
right?
not efficient at all, but it
Exactly.
runs. And it
But it
became one of the most beloved games ever. If you have the time to play it, play it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a crazy good game. But it's one of the biggest examples that Thor uses. It's like, this game is badly written. I'm not going to try and defend it. It's really bad code. But it works.
Yeah.
So Thor does this thing where it's like, skill should not be a problem. It should be something you aspire to.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's what's stopping a lot of students. Like this fear of not having the skills.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's something here very simply, like very in a simple case. I don't want to present, I don't have good presentation skills. And I have to tell them the only way to get better is to present and build the skill, right? Cultivate it. And it's so hard for them because they feel embarrassed, and I totally understand that. Um, I used to be a really shitty presenter. Really bad. But I was forced into that role, right? To cultivate and practice. And I'm not going to say I'm perfect, but you know, I'm much better than I used to be. But the whole point is to cultivate that and not be afraid of just saying, no, I don't have the skill. Well, the only way to do it is to have it is to do it. And I think that in terms of AI, because there's so much convenience and efficiency involved, this mentality of I can't do it, I'll just ask something else like ChatGPT or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it becomes worse, right?
It's also a consequence of insisting that everything be hyper realistic, everything be perfect, everything be good at the first try.
Yeah.
It's also a problem because of how art historians talk about things. We don't talk about the failures, we talk about the successes generally.
Oh yeah. True.
How many times have you ever heard that the Last Supper is a terrible painting, it's trash and it's a failure?
Hardly ever.
It is. Because what you're seeing now is not what Leonardo painted.
Hmm.
Let's start with that. Like, that painting is no longer by Leonardo. Because 3 years after he painted, it was starting to peel. Because,
Yeah.
and this is not a problem, he was lazy.
Wow.
Leonardo's
Okay.
famously lazy. Like, even in contemporary accounts, like, everybody's like, okay, so if you give him a commission, just kiss your money goodbye and hope that maybe he turns in something. Took him
Yeah.
14 years to finish. Like, no, he only completed 14 works in his whole life.
Hmm.
Magnificent 14 works, but, well, 13.
Maybe he wasn't lazy. He was a procrastinator.
Yeah, well, it's just the framing of how you frame it. But yeah, he
I'm
was
gonna
known
frame
as someone that would not finish the thing.
it.
Um, Anyhow, the point is, he decided to experiment with fresco not being fresco, more like
Hmm.
being Dryco.
Yeah.
And his technique absolutely did not work. Did
Hmm.
that send him into a depression spiral? No, he just went on and did something else. But
Yeah.
he tried. Okay, the painting is bad. And we have to recognize that not all of Leonardo's works are good.
Yeah.
Because if we keep insisting on the genius, then we are the narrative that it was selling is that it's only good if you are good at it from the beginning. We never talk about.
It's this inherentness of skill that is also something that, unfortunately, something that students hear all the time from art historians, from artists. Maybe not so much artists, but definitely art historians. It's this narrative that is being taught. Maybe not as much anymore with new art historians coming up, but that deters them from trying, right? Because if they think, oh, I don't have the God-given skill of doing this and that, then I'm never going to be good enough.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, we sell them this idea that everything has to be perfect. Like, nobody bats a 100. I think that's
Mhm.
the correct terminology. I don't play baseball.
I'm terrible with saying, so
But
don't ask me.
I think you've been at more baseball games than I have. Um,
Probably.
if you have been to one, that's enough to say you've been to 1,000% more baseball games than I have. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's another point. The point is, we nobody is perfect. Nobody does everything. But the thing is, we don't let people be bad at things. But even worse is that when they're bad at it, we don't want to tell them because we
Hmm.
don't want to make them feel bad. And that's
Yeah.
also a problem because then
Yeah.
you have two things: completely deluded people who think that really bad work is perfect and good,
Hmm.
and then you have really good people who think that everything they do is bad.
Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely.
ironic because it's like a complete cross of how it should be. And I mean, there's a reason Zack Snyder is so popular, right?
Hmm.
Even though he's not good, he's not a good filmmaker. I'm sorry, he's not good at writing movies. He's not good at directing them. He's really good at photography,
Hmm.
right? But people keep giving him money as a writer because somebody somewhere told him that he's good, and everybody believed him. But at the same time, like, show us the failures. Show us the failures of Leonardo. Show us well, Michelangelo just need to look at any woman he painted. Uh, they were not like they were women with two oranges stuck to their chests. There were men
Yeah.
with two oranges stuck to their chests.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not enough is talked about that.
I
And
think that,
so,
yeah, I think that in terms of what we discussed, and it's very ironic that we come full circle about AI and intelligence and creativity and things like that, but their failures is what makes us human.
hmm
And that is something we don't see with AI.
yeah, exactly. It's sometimes too clean, too perfect,
Too efficient, the sleekness of it, right?
and
But yeah, our failures make us human, and we should be okay with falling, right? And I'm gonna say something super cheesy.
go
We
ahead.
should be okay with falling, but we have to keep, picking ourselves back up in order to keep trying.
Yeah, totally. Oh my god, this is a crime.
Yeah, well,
It's an AI painting of Pierre Brasseur.
yeah, I can
Oh
tell.
my! No, I'm just reiterating for dramatic effect. So Pierre Brasseur is a monkey, okay, a chimpanzee specifically,
Mm-hmm.
and he started because the artist who actually owned Pierre hated abstract art, and he was like, anyone can do this. My child could do this. Well, he was like, a monkey could do this, and so he represented this artist who was Pierre that created these paintings. And for a long time, people were like, oh my God, he paints with so much intentionality, and you can feel the struggle in his painting. And in fact, it was a monkey, right?
Yeah.
And then when it came out, and I hate that they pair it with this.
Oh, yeah. Basquiat.
Basquiat, yeah, that's a little bit racist. Um, but the point is, everybody's like, "Oh my god, he's a great artist," and the artist comes like, "He, I was just trolling. It's Monkey." And then people are like, "Oh my god, we've been bad." But then now like Pierre Brasso's paintings are actually worth money.
Mm-hmm.
So the question here is even intentionality like necessary?
I think it depends on the art.
That's the cheap way out.
Of course.
I want a
It does.
categorical binary definition. No, uh, you're right. It's complicated because the point is, I mean, is it visually attractive? Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's interesting. It's not art, right? I mean, I would buy this.
Yeah.
Like completely would buy it. Like I don't know if this is a pure result. Let's see, is it, or is it just people conflating one thing with another?
That's
No, this
weird.
is John. Um,
But yeah, anyway,
yeah,
well, let's end it on a fun note
yeah, with monkey art.
with monkey art, but
But
also,
look
yeah,
at this.
let's
I know this is
end it with
Kandinsky.
that.
Sorry. See, that's
Jesus.
a problem. Look at
Yeah.
these. Like they're complicated to evaluate if we really want to believe the
But
thing.
that goes back to genius, right?
Yeah, is the monkey a genius? Is Pierre Brasseur a genius artist? Is he just a monkey splatting paint? I mean, the monkey definitely got something out of it. Otherwise, he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be like personal satisfaction in the contents of a
Or
monkey,
or he was trained like
or
AI
he was
machine,
trained. But
right?
even then, he's getting a banana.
Yeah. But
Is an
maybe
artist working on a commission different?
exactly. Right?
I
Exactly.
mean, are you getting a banana at the end? Yeah, well, not a banana, but you're getting something.
Yeah. I think that maybe what another question opens up in terms of these discussions that we've had is we need to get rid of also this idea of human exceptionalism.
Hmm.
No one's perfect. We learn from our mistakes, and we should keep making mistakes, I think.
Yeah, and learning from them and not making it
Of course.
like,
Of course.
like, oh, you failed once, goodbye.
Maybe a mistake is not a failure. It's just an opportunity.
We need a background of like a sunset.
You mean Impression Sunrise, maybe?
Or this.
No, but sure.
We don't have the budget for to oh, actually that one probably is out of copyright. Do you think the Macedo Sai owns the copyright for that? Which
I don't know.
me is senseless.
I don't know. But in
Anyhow,
any yes.
so yeah,
Um,
well, that was a really nice way of finishing the overall like main subject. But before
yeah.
we go, I think we have to recognize that this is our technically our 26th episode, but we missed a couple, so that's actually the 24th.
Yeah,
So this marks our 2-year anniversary,
it does.
and there's a
And we should
few.
thank everyone for, who has listened and keeps on listening as well, right?
Yes,
Yeah, we always have a really good time recording podcasts, and hopefully,
yes,
you find us very interesting a little bit.
or at least a background noise while you're cleaning the house.
Yeah,
I want to be your background noise.
yes, absolutely. But
Hey,
yeah,
give us views. I don't care how.
yeah,
Put it for the cat so it doesn't feel alone in the morning. Uh,
absolutely.
whatever. Yeah. No. So yeah. So first of all, yay, 2 years. But also, there's a few things. We have a Discord. Well, not we. The whole association, the New Media
Organization,
Caucus
yeah.
organization. Thank you. New Media Caucus has a Discord. I don't have Discord on this computer, or I could put like a QR code so you could like scan it. Maybe I'll do that on post.
Yeah,
We'll
for
fix
sure.
it in post. Uh, but yeah, so there's that. There's a new exhibition, which it's a very me, look at me thing. But I mean, is that out of character? But it's actually an interesting thing. It's also kind of an offshoot of an episode that we did when we kind of introduced ourselves. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah.
It's called My Internet. It's a bit less traditional than the other shows that we've had, because one of the things I wanted to do is
I'm Poppy.
you fly around and you're surrounded by art, literally. It's even on the ceiling.
Yeah.
But one of the things it does is it's awkward, and that's the point. Like, it forces you to find the right way to place yourself to see or hear the things.
Yeah.
By the way, watch this movie. It's so good. Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Cool.
It's pure art.
But yeah.
But the whole point of the exhibition was to create this space that has all these things that I love. Also, you can click on it and you can see it in like normal ways.
Yeah.
Plus, my thinking behind it. This is pure art. The girl chewing gum. This is not a joke. This is actually like fine art.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before. There's video games, Marina Abramovich, Molindustria, Frog Fractions. Play it. It's free. Please.
Mhm.
Tell me what you think in the comments. Of course, there's Poppy, because there cannot be not Poppy.
I'm
HR
Poppy.
Giger.
I'm Poppy. I'm Poppy.
This is on purpose upside down, so you have to, again, navigate, making art uncomfortable to watch, and that's part of the point.
That's really cool.
So this is Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
Well, don't give too much away. You want people to go and see it.
Well, yeah, that's true. And anyhow, so enjoy, watch. This is pretty much
Poppy.
everything
I'm
that
Poppy.
inspires me.
I'm Poppy. I'm Poppy.
But yeah,
I'm
so there's
Poppy.
this.
I'm Poppy.
And
I'm
is there
Poppy.
any
I'm Poppy.
publications,
I'm
things that
Poppy.
you have done that you want to share with us?
We have one right now under review. So stay tuned for that one. The one with techno-necromancy.
Oh,
So
yes.
stay tuned for that one until it comes out. And we'll see. But otherwise, this has been a really good year.
Yeah.
For New Media Caucus, for Header Footer Gallery Presents. So I want to thank everyone for staying tuned to our
And a quick thing, we're probably going to take a month or 2 month hiatus. I don't know yet, because we need vacations, basically.
Yes, we do.
And this is supposed to be November. But we had like health issues and we had to push it back. Someone had a cold.
Yeah.
So this is the November episode. The December, we don't usually have a December episode, so we're going to skip that one. And the thing is, January is going to be tricky for me as well as February, because it's become a thing. But we'll see. Ideally, we will have one before February begins, because I'm leaving for CAA in New York. Yay. And then coming back from that, I don't know if I'll have the will to live.
We'll keep you updated. Okay.
Maybe I just hand off the reins to you and you do a solo show.
We'll see about that. We'll see.
Yeah, so you were going to say something? Sorry?
No. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sure off.
So that's pretty much it. I want to thank all of you for watching, and we'll don't forget to like and subscribe. Sorry, I have to say this, but we need the numbers. Oh, one more thing before I forget. I want to thank. No, it's the organization. I want to thank the New Media Caucus, because they have authorized us to get gear. Mm-hmm. So our production values will go up with proper cameras, microphones, and things like that. We get new toys. And I want to thank the board for deciding that we are providing something of value. Yeah. And obviously Nick, but the entire board. Sorry?
We are.
Well, I hope. This is going to allow us to bring you a more high quality thing where the audio doesn't sound like...
Yeah.
With we're going to have our little circle things that you put in front so you don't go like all the time. And I'm really excited about that, clearly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I wanted to thank the New Media Caucus for authorizing that, and we'll see you soon, hopefully with new gear.
Yes, absolutely.
With that said, thank you, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.